DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This is my late, but better late than never, review of after the NBA Finals and just some odds and ends from the off season of the NBA. So first of all, Giannis Antetokounmpo is officially the best player in the NBA. He's the best player in the NBA. Now, why is he the best player? Here's my criteria. You got to have a combination of personal accomplishment and team accomplishment. For a while, nobody really had the title because the people with the team accomplishment and the personal accomplishment combined, the closest person who had won was Kawhi Leonard, closest person after LeBron. Kawhi was the closest person to get it besides LeBron, but I couldn't give it to Kawhi because the year that he won the championship with Toronto, he sat out like 20 games and he wasn't even injured. He was just sitting out for, what were they calling that? Load management. He started this whole load management thing and he wasn't even injured, but he was sitting out games. And then in the playoffs, he was more healthy than everybody else or more fresh than everybody else because he had been sitting out all these games. I can't call you the best player in the league. You're not playing in all the games. You're the best player in the league. You got to play every night. You got to be dominant every night. The fans come out to see you every night, and you do your thing. Kawhi did not do that, so I could never. There was at no point that I give Kawhi the title of best player in the league. LeBron had the title. Nobody has snatched that title from him. So even that year when the Lakers were trash, nobody snatched it from him. And had the Bucks not won the championship this year, let's say the Phoenix Suns had won the championship this year, then I would say then LeBron still gets the title of best player because nobody took it. Nobody on the Suns has enough personal accomplishment right now, dominance, for any of them to claim the title had they won it. So, but since Giannis won, he won MVP 2 years in a row. This year he didn't get MVP, but he won the championship. He was clearly the best player on the court. He was dominant, and he has the title. He got the team, and he got the personal accomplishments, both happening at the same time. He is the best player in the league. He gets the title based on that criteria. Now, to be clear, do I think Giannis is the most skilled player in the league? No. I think people like LeBron or Kevin Durant may be more skilled than him. Now, skills doesn't mean you have to do certain things. Doesn't mean you have to dribble or you have to shoot threes. Like Shaq didn't dribble or shoot threes. He was the best player in the league, at least for a period of time. But I think overall, if you were to put Giannis against a KD or Giannis against a LeBron every single night for a series, like we saw with Brooklyn against Milwaukee, is it possible KD could outplay Giannis? Yes. Is it possible LeBron could outplay Giannis? Yes. Are there other players in that category that could possibly outplay him? Maybe somebody like a James Harden. It's hard to say with James Harden now because he's on Kevin Durant's team. That is Kevin Durant's team. Or whoever else. There may be other players in the category, but is it possible other players could possibly outplay Giannis in a series? Absolutely. However, Giannis has the wins, team success, and the individual success. That's why he gets the title, just so everybody is clear. Not necessarily, I think, if you were to just break down skill and say, well, Giannis could do this, and KD can do that, and LeBron can do this, so Giannis is the best. I'm not saying based off that. That's the Gilbert Arenas way of breaking things down, because I've heard him talk about it where he says, well, this player is better than this player because this player has more skill than this player. Well, I don't want to go off that by saying who has more skill because then everything becomes very subjective. You could say, all right, well, this player is a better dribbler, or what I've heard. I don't listen to Gilbert Arenas' stuff now, but I have heard him talk about it where he would say stuff like, well, this player has natural talent. They can jump high or they can run fast. So their ability to do that isn't real skill because it's a natural talent. But somebody who had to actually work at it and get good, that takes more skill. Similar to the argument James Harden made when he was trying to diss Giannis and saying, well, it doesn't take any skill to be 7 feet and athletic and just run up and down and dunk on people. I wish I could do that all the time. I had to develop actual skill. Well, shit, James Harden, the purpose of the game is not necessarily to develop skill. Of course, you want to develop skill, but the purpose of the game is to win. Now, you develop skill so you get better at winning, but you don't. The purpose of the skill development is to do something else. Skill is subservient to the actual object of the game, which is winning the game. Now, James Harden hasn't won the game. Now, he went to the finals once. That was with OKC. He was a six man. And he didn't play well in that series. And he ain't been to the finals since. Now, he had chances, The year Chris Paul was his teammate, he came very close. He was a Chris Paul hamstring away from winning. Then the other year where they lost to the Rockets, not the Rockets, to the Warriors. So James Harden ain't better than Giannis. Even if he believes he has better skill than Giannis, he can make that argument if he wants. Purpose of the game is winning. Giannis won MVP twice. James Harden only got it once. Giannis got a ring. James Harden ain't got none. And James Harden, you just had to get on the team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie, where you gave up in Houston. You quit on your team in Houston. So there's no more James Harden discussion on this. I don't care what stats he puts up or what skill he has. Giannis did it. He is the best player in the league. So we clear on that? All right. Now, as far as the offseason moves go, we see a lot of stuff is happening. I'm recording this on August the 4th. So the last thing that got announced was Kemba Walker was going to the Knicks. Does that matter? No. Are the Knicks getting out the first round with the team they have right now today? No. Will they even make the playoffs next year? Maybe. Who cares? Knicks, New York fans, I'm sorry. I love New York, the city, but y'all ain't going past the first round with the team that y'all have right now. Y'all saw how y'all got your ass kicked last year. Kemba Walker ain't making a difference. Now, my hometown, Philadelphia 76ers. I live in Miami, but my hometown is Philly. Ben probably is going to get traded. Maybe they'll go into the season with Ben, then trade him during the season. Maybe he'll still get traded in the offseason. But last I heard was that Rich Paul, Ben's agent, is actively engaged in working on trade suitors for Ben Simmons, finding a new team for Ben Simmons. Now, I believe Ben is a good player and that there is a superstar capable player within the current Ben Simmons that we see. Now, of course, he has to start taking shots, outside shots. Even if he's missing, he just has to have the confidence to take the shots. For whatever reason, he wasn't taking the shots. And we already discussed this. So I think he needs a change of scenery. And as I said in the last video about the Sixers, or when I was talking about the finals, even if Ben Simmons starts shooting shots, I doubt he's going to all of a sudden be Kevin Durant at the beginning of next season shooting 40% from three. He's not going to be a great elite shooter, but he will at least be willing to shoot. The Sixers need someone who can space the floor, like a real floor spacer. Like, they need a Damian Lillard type guy next to Joel Embiid, somebody who can dominate on the perimeter with their outside shooting, not just a guy who's another guy who would be dominant in the paint. Ben Simmons will be dominant in the paint. Doesn't mean he can't shoot, but his dominance space is the paint. So he needs to go somewhere else. Even if he was the idealized version of himself, we need a guard. And Ben Simmons is the perfect trade chip with which to acquire that guard. We need a guard. And I don't think CJ McCollum is enough for a trade for Ben Simmons. I like CJ McCollum, but if we're giving up Ben Simmons, we need to get more than CJ McCollum. You're following what I'm saying? We need a Damian Lillard level guy. Why don't we trade Ben Simmons for Steph Curry? Why don't they give us Steph Curry? Warriors, y'all give us Steph Curry, we give you Ben Simmons. Let's go with that. Now, as far as the rest of the offseason moves, I guess the team making the most noise so far has been the Lakers. They signed or acquired in trade Russell Westbrook, which will be interesting to watch, if nothing else. It'll be interesting to watch LeBron and Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis on the same team. Russ plays hard every game. He has an unstoppable motor. He's going to get you points, rebounds, and assists. We all know that. He's not a good outside shooter. We know that. He makes some very poor decisions defensively that can cost your team games. We also know that. I don't know how that experiment is going to go. I think it'd be very interesting to see. Is Russell Westbrook willing to submit to LeBron James's, LeBron James, he calls himself King James. He moves all the pieces on the chessboard. So is Russell Westbrook willing to be a soldier in LeBron's army of that team? Because that will be his role. Is he willing to do it? Because if he is, then I'll be interested just to see how that works out, because Russell Westbrook does not space the floor. The best players to put with LeBron James are floor spacers who can shoot. I mean, you saw those teams that LeBron was taking to the finals in Cleveland, that second stint in Cleveland. I mean, most of the time, not most of the time, but all of the time, he had a bunch of floor spacers around him, guys who can all shoot threes. You just space the floor and let LeBron do whatever he's going to do. They didn't have to run plays. Just let LeBron do what he's going to do, because he's that type of basketball genius. Russell Westbrook does not fit into that. He doesn't fit into that framework because he's not an outside shooter. He's not a good outside shooter. He's a driver who needs the ball in his hands. He's not an off-the-ball player at all. So while it's splashy to sign Russell Westbrook, and I believe Russ is a good player, I don't know how that is going to work or if it's going to work at all, but we'll see. But the Lakers obviously are trying to restack the deck and get back to the finals. I heard I think that it's official that they got Danny Green again. Man, they got Dwight Howard again. Dwight Howard was actually good playing with them, so that's cool. They got Dwight Howard as a backup big. And who else did they get? They re-signed THT. Who else did they pick up? It was a guard that they picked up. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, the Lakers look like they're trying to make this run right here. LeBron, I don't know how many more years he can be LeBron, but LeBron's the best player. He's the best overall career player out there right now. Giannis is the best player right now, but LeBron has the best career. I believe he's right up there as one of the greatest players of all time. So it'd be interesting to see what they end up doing this upcoming season. What else is going on in basketball space? Oh, yeah, Miami got Kyle Lowry, which is cool. I think Kyle Lowry's presence makes the Heat maybe a second-round playoff team. Maybe they can win a round in the playoffs with Kyle Lowry. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure Kyle Lowry's presence moves them from a first-round exit to a second-round exit. They're not going further than the second round with that team that they have right now. I think they need a little bit more, or they're going to need significant improvements from their top players, i.e. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and most importantly Bam, because he's the youngest guy out of all them. Jimmy's in his 30s, Kyle's in his 30s. So Bam would have to have significant improvements if they're really going to move up to a next level, whatever that next level could possibly be for the Miami Heat. And I live in Miami, so it'd be cool if the Miami Heat is a great team. But Kyle Lowry, I'm not sure that moves the needle really that much. What else is going on? I already said the Knicks signed Kemba Walker. That is not going to make much of a difference. Brooklyn got... Who did Brooklyn sign? Damn, they signed somebody. I can't even remember who it was that they signed. But some guard that they picked up. But as long as they're healthy next year, I think Brooklyn will probably be the odds-on favorite in the Eastern Conference. And hopefully the Sixers, depending on what Ben Simmons ends up doing, whether that means we get pieces back for him in the trade, or Ben actually gets better and starts being aggressive offensively, which we all want and hope and dream for. And I don't have any other moves in front of me. I'm just trying to think right now on the top of my head what else happened. We had the NBA draft occur. I don't watch college basketball at all, so I don't know any of these players. I only know their names from hearing people talk about them leading up to the NBA draft. And most of the time, a rookie is not going to come in and make a huge difference for a team. And when I say huge difference, I'm talking about making the playoffs and doing something in the playoffs. Only rookie that's come in my lifetime that I could think of who had that kind of impact as being like the main guy doing that was not in my lifetime. The time I've been watching basketball, let's say the last 25, 30 years, is Tim Duncan. He came in that first year. The Spurs became contenders immediately, but they also had David Robinson coming off an injury. So kind of special situation. So all the rookies, good luck to them. Congrats on making it to the NBA. Who else? What else happened here in basketball? I'm just trying to think. Did anything else happen that I need to know about? I don't think. Anything else that we need to talk about? Kawhi Leonard has opted out, and as of now, he hasn't re-signed with the Clippers, but everyone's expecting him to do so. Chris Paul opted out and then re-signed, so he's staying in Phoenix. That's cool. Are the Suns going back to the finals next year? I doubt it. Can they make it out of... I think the Suns can win a round in the playoffs next year. I'm not sure they can win more than a round in the playoffs next year after going to the finals. It might be similar to what happened with the Miami Heat, how they went to the finals in the bubble and they got swept in the first round the year after that. I'm thinking the Suns, it could possibly be like that this upcoming year because Chris Paul is getting older. And again, just like LeBron, I don't know how much longer he can keep doing what he's been doing in the league up until this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if they can win a round in the playoffs. I mean, it's not like they're trash or anything like that. But are they going back to the finals? I highly doubt it. I would bet against that. Now, who do I think right now, based on the rosters that we see right now, barring any crazy moves, not knowing what the Sixers are going to do with Ben Simmons, they're going to do something we don't know yet, and not knowing if Kawhi is coming back to the Clippers, but assuming that he is, what do I think is going to happen in the NBA this upcoming season? I think right now the Lakers are probably looking like the strongest team in the West, and I would suspect, if I had to bet on it, I would bet Brooklyn is the strongest team in the East. As long as their big three is healthy, they look like the strongest team in the East. Now, who do I want to come out the East? I want my hometown Sixers to come out of the East because that's my home team. That's where I'm from. And in the West, I really don't care. We'll see what Dallas does. So Dallas needs to do something, as a matter of fact. They lost Josh Richardson. They re-upped Tim Hardaway Jr. They still have Kristaps Porzingis, who is a shell of his New York Knicks self, I guess we'll say. A shell of what he was. He was playing for the Knicks, and he was flying around, blocking everything, dunking on everybody. He's not that guy anymore. And I think Luka Doncic is kind of getting impatient. Like, hey, we need to get somebody in here so we can maximize my prime out here in these streets. So I think the Dallas Mavericks going to need to do something. And who else needs to do something? Dallas Mavericks need to do something because they on the clock. The Sixers need to do something because they're on the clock with Joel Embiid. The Portland Trail Blazers need to do something because Damian Lillard is not going to sit there and let the rest of his prime years go to waste. Maybe the Utah Jazz as well. And, the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh, yeah, the Chicago Bulls. They're going to re-sign Zach LaVine, or he is already under contract. So I guess they're going to up his contract, or what they call it, extend his contract. They got Lonzo Ball, and they signed DeMar DeRozan to a $95 million contract. Now, I get that players can be interchangeable these days, and players play multiple positions, but Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Lonzo Ball, Bulls fans, Lonzo fans, Zach LaVine fans, DeMar DeRozan fans, are y'all getting out the first round with that team? Are y'all making the playoffs with that team? A full year of Vucevic. I mean, y'all got a good starting five. Y'all got Vucevic. I forget the rookie's name y'all just had last year, but he's very good. DeMar, Lonzo, and Zach. Can that team get out of the first? Can that team make the playoffs? First of all, y'all ain't even make the playoffs. Zach LaVine never played in the playoff game. Can y'all make the playoffs? I would not be surprised if the Bulls made the playoffs. Are y'all getting out the first round with that team? No. All right. Vooch never did nothing but make the playoffs and get swept. Zach ain't been to the playoffs. Lonzo ain't been to the playoffs. DeMar DeRozan's been to the playoffs, but his team, he was with the Spurs. They just lost the play-in game last year. They were in the play-in game, then they lost it. And I'm not that excited about that team. I mean, it's a splashy team. It's a team that you look at it on paper, you're like, oh, this is interesting. It looks like a video game type of team, but is it really? Are y'all really going anywhere with that in the Eastern Conference? The Sixers, the Nets, the Bucks, the Heat, the Hawks. Who are the Bulls beating in a playoff series of that five? Nobody. Maybe even the Celtics. Maybe y'all could beat the Celtics with their current roster. Y'all could probably beat them. But who are the Bulls beating in the playoff series with that roster? Nobody. So, I mean, it's cool that the Bulls got that team. Zach LaVine's very good. He would be great on the Sixers. I think if the Sixers trade Ben for Zach LaVine, the Bulls got to give up more. Ben is better than Zach LaVine. So I say Ben in exchange for Zach LaVine and something else. They got to give up a couple more pieces. That'd be a great trade for the Sixers. I don't care what the Bulls do with that. Be a great trade for the Sixers. Sixers need somebody like Zach LaVine, a fucking scorer who can shoot, who can play on the perimeter, dominate on the outside, while Joel houses people on the inside. That's what we need. So Zach LaVine, come to the Sixers. I know you ain't never been to the playoffs. You've never been on a winning team in your career. But come to the Sixers, you can finally be on a winning team. Are the Bulls going to become that winning team? I'm not so sure. But we'll see. Maybe he'll be on the Sixers by the time the season is over. So that's what I see there. What else? Is there anything that I'm missing? I don't know if there's any other team I'm not thinking about that made a big move that we need to talk about. So since I can't think of it, then we're going to just end the video on that note. So that's where I see the NBA offseason up to this point. Again, just going off the top of my head. If it's something I forgot or something I missed, let me know in the comments. Work on your game. Dre all day.